with a counter in 3, 2, 1. Yeah. We made it. Hakon, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Welcome to the streaming lair, the quarantine machine.
The first time ever I'm doing this. It's so awkward.
It's fun, dude. It will pick up. You'll get more used to it. It's just more interesting in the beginning.
Yeah.
When like you turn on the personality and suddenly there's so much energy. But you'll get used to it. It'll die out as well.
Yeah.
It'll become so boring. You skip from here to the end, it will become very boring.
Yeah.
But the idea is drink enough water so you sound normal.
Just take all the cups of water, fill it up.
There you go.
30 minutes in.
There you go. That's what we're here for. So, how are you doing?
I'm good.
How's home office going for you?
Pretty good, actually. I do have a studio, so I do go there sometimes because there's not a lot of people there.
You're responsible.
Yeah.
Ooh, he's risking it.
Yeah, I'm risking it. But it's like yesterday we were just me and Martin that was there.
Yeah.
So it's like I know everyone that I meet every day. Like I know I'm meeting you today.
Yeah.
That's the probably the only guy I'm going to meet today. So
yeah. And fun fact, I've had Corona.
You had it?
I have had Corona. I did. I was one of the pioneers. Pioneering Corona victim 2020.
Okay.
I have been symptom free for like 2.5 weeks now.
Okay.
And I have been outside and licking bus seats and touching everything.
Spitting
and I'm
on people.
still totally fine.
Yeah.
So as long as I wash my hands, it doesn't stick to me. Totally fine.
Good.
It feels good.
Yeah.
It feels good.
But you really had it. Did you test yourself?
I did. No, I couldn't get tested.
Okay.
That was the moment when they started closing all the testing because it became too much.
Okay.
Which is unfortunate. Because I would have liked a certificate that said you have it. I want to hang it on the wall. I want to like remember this. I've been taking so many pictures around town of just like with my phone, like at the grocery store aisles where they say you have to stand a meter behind each other.
Yeah.
That shit's so
crazy.
crazy.
I did that as well. I did a walk. I was like feeling so captured.
Yeah.
So I went for like a 3-hour walk around town. And I was like shooting with my Leica, like feeling like the street style photographer.
That's fun.
That I really don't am, but it was fun to shoot like hospital car, like what's it called? Ambulances and like people going with masks, and it's weird.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's weird.
What a weird time. What a weird time.
Yeah.
It's been talked about so much, but I think the most important aspect when it comes to us is what it's doing to our industry as creatives. You're a freelance creative, correct? Yeah. I'm a freelance photographer as well. I hate the word creative. I don't know why I keep saying that. I'm also a freelance photographer. How has it been affecting your business?
I will say I've like a pretty much everyone has been affected, I feel like, in our industry. Yeah. But the photographers, we need people. We need to shoot like either people or brands or whatever. Mm-hmm. So yeah, for me personally, it's been like pushing shoots. You really don't know if the brands are going to survive. You really don't know if there's ever going to be that shoot you were going to have. You know, like people are going to push the shoots. Like,
but you're pushing them. You're not canceling.
Yeah, they're not canceling. They're just pushing it, and they're like, it's like going further back.
That's the exact opposite of me.
Oh, really?
The first day I was ill, I was on the couch and I was just sort of struggling. I was dead. I mean, I had the equivalent of the man flu, right? Where the world's ending. And I got the phone call from like 5 different clients that day, just saying, "Hey, we're canceling. We'll pick it back up if we need to, but we're canceling." So for me, like everything gone, everything. So I have no plans to shoot now. 0. I actually today just applied for welfare.
You really did?
I applied for welfare from NAV because it's actually a really responsible thing to do.
Yeah, I did a dog paying.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
It's so strange.
It's really strange.
Never imagined that would need to be me.
No, me neither.
But I feel like I'm taking back my taxes.
Yeah.
I pay a lot for this insurance.
Yeah.
We do. When you think about it, we pay a lot just for this purpose.
But this really made me make the leap and go into use or get an IS.
Yes.
So like now I'm really gonna like pursue that and like how I'm gonna
Okay, so you're gonna create a full-on company rather than just freelance.
Yes, I really am, because then I can like if you get sick or whatever, you always talk about it, but like I'm 26, I don't really. Yeah. I'm not gonna get sick. But now that this happened, it's like okay, everything can happen.
Yeah, it's possible now.
Yeah.
It's scary, isn't it?
It's really scary. And then you see that all your work is going to get pushed. Yeah. I know that I worked a lot in like January and February. That's coming in now. Yes. So I'm good for like the next couple of months, maybe 3 months.
That's good.
But if there's no work in the next 2 months, that buffer for the next 3 months is gone. Mm-hmm. So I'm really like thinking about everything that I buy and everything before we can like buy a camera, buy a computer, whatever. Yeah. But now it's like, okay, do I really need it? Or
exactly.
Am I going to use that money on that?
It's scary.
It's scary.
It's weird because by the time this is all over, I'm predicting some of the work is going to start coming back in like late May, maybe early June.
Yeah.
Something like that. That's kind of the timeline that I'm working with.
Yeah.
But by the time we get to the end of June, those are the vacation months.
Yes.
July is dead.
But people are not going to take vacation this year, I think.
I hope not. I can't.
I don't think people can.
No.
There's so much work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And the home office stuff, that works for some people. So there's a lot of people that are going to lose their locations.
Yeah.
Because they're going to do more from home now. And they see the way that technology works.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also this thing where we are going to get smaller jobs. Yeah. Maybe like lower paying jobs, but there's going to be more of them.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be a lot of, all like you see in Oslo, all the photographers, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be shrunken down to be like...
You think so?
Yeah, I think
You think
so.
this is going to scare a lot of people away from it?
I think so, because a lot of dreams are going to get lost in this.
Yeah.
I'm afraid.
That's actually really interesting. That makes it really tangible.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, back to when we were starting, like the jobs that we were taking were, they were small.
They were small.
It's small stuff. And it's stuff that like now could maybe get you through like a week, and then you would need to take like 5 more events work or whatever it was you're doing to really create a sustainable environment from it.
Yeah.
Photography just sort of like, it usually starts as like a dream for people like us.
Yeah.
And then the more that dream becomes more tangible, the more you start to get the idea that you can live off of it. And once you start to get that idea, things become more practical. But in that moment where it's not quite there yet, and it's not quite a practical achievement, you shouldn't have so many expenses.
No, you shouldn't.
You can't afford it.
No.
You can't afford to buy new equipment. You can't afford to have the car. You can't afford to have the apartment.
Then you need a second job.
Exactly.
That's the thing. But I've always said, like, don't have like a plan B, because if you have a plan B, it's easier to fall back on.
Yes.
So you don't like pursue hard enough your plan A.
Yes.
But like in the state that we are in right now, I'm kind of torn about my own ideas on that, because before that was pretty easy to tell people, because Nav and everything, they got your back.
Yeah.
But now it's going to be like, I don't really know.
Yeah. It's tough, right? What is your plan B?
I really don't have one. That's the thing.
Oh.
I was thinking about it the other day, because there was I was talking to another photographer of mine, a friend of mine, and he was like, I really don't know if I'm going to do this forever. Mm-hmm. Like he's in like close to his 40s.
Yeah.
Am I going to shoot forever? And it's like been going back and forth for a lot of years. And then I was like thinking, what can I do differently? Like, could I do something else? Can I work with something else? And for me, it's always going to be in this space.
Yes.
Like, if I'm not shooting, I want to direct.
Yeah.
And if I'm not directing, I want to be someone on the set, or like something to do with the production.
Yes. I always imagine that our jobs translated very well into like marketing kind of positions. I think we've been around marketing people and PR people and all those kinds of the more creative sides of the practical industries, the product development and stuff like that. I think our job would translate very well into that.
Yeah.
And we'd create cool kind of
like art direction.
Exactly.
Because that's what we do.
Exactly.
But I'm really not sure if like that job is going to be around, you know. Is that going to be a priority for the brands?
Good question. I mean, so many people in that industry are getting their furloughed right now, permittert, I guess in Norwegian.
You shouldn't like even go to school to like work on an oil rig now.
Yeah.
Because the oil is so low, like on price. It's probably going to go up again, but we can say that about everything. Oh, the Norwegian is going to go up. Tesla is going to go up. You don't know.
Nothing is certain but death, tax, and Teslas.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
But back when you started doing photography, was there any sort of doubt in your mind that that's what you wanted to
do? Actually, no. Like, this was, I found something that I really enjoyed.
When was that?
Back in probably 2000 and... I was 16, 15.
16 or 15?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is like 15 years ago, I think.
My Lord, you started young. Yeah. That's a long time ago. What did you have? Did you have, like, what kind of camera were you working
15, with? What I'm saying, it's like 10 years ago, 12, 11 years ago.
Math. So ambitious. Yeah. It feels like it's been 15 years.
It feels like it. It feels like I've been living like four lives.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But especially when you're in a creative industry, because you sort of graduate in terms of your style.
Yes.
And you move around a lot.
Like, I would never know that I was going to shoot this, like portraits and stuff. Because I started with skiing and snowboarding like you did. And it just progressed when, like, shooting with different guys. They were going to get sponsors. The sponsors needed photos for their websites, or they needed, like, product shots. Yeah. With the goggles and, everything.
Oh, yeah.
Sweet needed their helmets. Yeah. Douchebags needed their bags, you know. Yeah. And it just progressed, like, that were pretty cool, shooting commercially stuff, like with the bags, with the skis, everything. And then it just, like, elevated. Like, other brands saw this, not just the skiers, not just the Oakley or the brands. Yeah. They're not, like, specifically brands, exactly. But not the brands just in the skiing industry, but everyone.
So did you kind of float around in terms of style when it came to brands asking you to do stuff? Or did you sort of make like a conscious decision, now I want to start doing more portraits?
It was kind of a mix. Because when I was shooting the portraits of the skiers and stuff, it was kind of like fun. You just shot a portrait. I didn't think about it. I didn't think like I do this once. And the composition and everything. But so yeah, I would say I had one style for portraits. I had one style for like the action stuff, but everything ties together, I think.
How so?
Because I still shoot the way that I shot 10 years ago, like in my mind. I still composite the way that I shot 10 years ago. That doesn't change. The thing that changed for me is like how I see light. That's probably the main one. Yeah. And the second one is in the editing, or how I wanted the outcome to be. And the third one is probably the models. I shoot with more talented people now. So you can see the difference from like shooting a family friend that never, like, if you want to shoot me, I'm not comfortable. I don't know what to do. Yeah. But the models I shoot, they really know what they're going to do.
That helps.
And that helps a lot. That helps a lot.
It really does. So with those three things, can you walk me through, we'll start first with the light. Yeah. Can you walk me through what kind of changes in the way you interpret light and how you use light in your photography?
It sets the mood, If it's if I'm shooting I wouldn't say a scenario, but like shooting a brand in for what's it called, a grocery store, for example. Yeah. And you're gonna shoot for them. You don't want like overly dramatic. You don't want like color flares. You don't want to do like spectacular stuff like that. You want to keep it clean. So the product come from, and the guy it's holding the product, whatever, it's gonna look great. So then you're like, particularly you need to see what's happening. So you light it either with the sun, of course, where they like backlit so he's clean. Yep. Or you fill in with the flash to just keep it clean. You don't like put in harsh shadows, stuff like that. If it's going to go on like a bus or a spot, yeah, you don't need like the guy with harsh shadow and artsy stuff,
Yeah, so I feel like you get to a certain point where you become so comfortable with setting up lights and scenarios like that you start to understand that the more realistic things start to look, the more marketable they become.
Of course.
And almost the more satisfying it becomes, because it's easy to really like blow out a photo. Yeah. And add rim lights here and there and do all that. But when it comes to subtle lighting and trying to imitate natural light, that's hard.
It's really hard. And that's the worst part. Like if you try to go in the studio and make like the sunlight or the morning or evening light, try to do that.
It's not easy.
That you're not gonna make. It's not gonna work.
I won't. I trust other people to do it better than
there's me. People like Octavian in Oslo, or people that really know lighting, that are gonna make it, or some photographers I know that are really gonna like nail that one and like trick me into thinking that it's sunlight. Yeah. But I can't fool myself doing that.
The problem I think is, I think you could fool me pretty easily. But when you see the whole process yourself and you know what it looked like before, I think that's where it sort of falls apart.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I feel that when I'm editing as well. When you see like a before and after, I know where the photo started. Yeah. And now I'm sort of getting the idea of, I know when I see what the photo looks like at the end of my editing, that it's going to impress people who are seeing it for the first time. Yeah. And they're going to be like, wow, those colors are crazy, or wow, that light was insane and super warm and whatnot. But like, I know what it took to get there. Yeah. And I know that the light wasn't warm in the beginning. No. It sort of became there. I sort of like encouraged it that way. Yeah. And because of that, there's sometimes when you look at a photo at the end, or I do, and I'm just like, what did I do? But I just sort of have to like trust that it's going to be received. Yeah. Well,
but that's a thing, that kind of instinct you got as a photographer, shooting for a couple of years. I'm thinking about when you're starting off and the first thing I did was I bought 3 lights because everyone had that. You know, like when we were shooting.
I remember your first lights.
Yeah. And you remember shooting snowboarding and stuff.
Yep.
And we put them underneath the jumps because we needed to illuminate the skier or
that's
the
where they went.
And you had to. Like
that's where everyone else did it, so that's where I'm putting it.
I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know why I was going to do that. Because the thing about lighting is know what you're going to do or what the meaning behind it is.
Yes.
Like if you're putting a light underneath the jump,
yes,
know why you're doing that.
Yes.
Is it sunny outside and the sun is behind your back and shooting towards the skier? Mm-hmm. Why the hell are you like putting a light there?
Exactly.
It doesn't add anything.
We can curse here, by the way.
Yeah. Okay.
Say whatever the fuck you want.
Thank you. But the thing is, the hard part about it is you want to shoot like at a high shutter speed. Yeah. In sports sometimes, but when you put like a strobe in it, you can. At least when I was shooting back in like 10 years ago, the sync speed was like 160.
250.
That was max for me.
Yeah, okay.
Like on the Sony A300, that was max.
Yeah, I always remember sync speed being limited at 250th, which is still not even close.
No, it's not close. I needed at least 1,000.
Yeah.
And my small little flashes from eBay, they didn't put out that. I put like 4 flashes, like the speed lights. Yeah. And those popped up. And some shots really worked because they were cool and they froze like the action.
Yeah, you do a slow enough trick.
It works. And I like Stefan Hamre and all the old skiers. Yeah. They do like 5s, like tail 5 and stuff.
Yeah, just easy, super chill, floaty spins. Yeah.
So since I was shooting that kind of stuff and I loved like the movement in the tricks, since then I always like enjoyed smaller tricks.
Yes.
On big jumps.
I agree.
So like
I agree. It's easier.
A flat 5. Yeah. So much more appealing to me.
The moment double cork, whatever became popular in skiing is the moment I would like, maybe I should move on from skiing.
I started filming then.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I stopped shooting photos.
Do you film now still?
Not that much anymore.
No. What changed? What brought you back?
We made like this small little kind of company when I was like 16.
Yeah.
Where we were filming each other in Hafjell.
Yeah.
And it was so fun, and just to follow the riders. And for me, I got scared. Like I was a snowboarder at the beginning, and I did backflips, I did the tricks, but then the jumps became bigger and bigger and bigger, and I became more and more of a pussy. Yeah. So I started just filming. So I was following all the guys, and I felt like a guy. Like I felt like part of the crew, and I was still one of the skiers.
I can almost guarantee you that's how 90% of photographers in Norway are born.
Yeah.
That's the same with me. I just wasn't good enough to be a pro.
No.
Didn't really have the drive. Didn't care too much, but I kind of wanted to keep up. So
like I pushed myself to do 360s on like medium jumps. I was like, I was not in for that.
No, even that's scary.
Yeah.
Even that's scary now.
I'm not doing it now.
No.
Like not at all.
No, same.
But it was super fun to like film the guys, get the footage, because when you got like to the end of the mountain or the end of the day even, when the guy went to a party, I went back home, I started editing, and we had an edit the next morning, and then we skied and made another one.
Yep.
And that's how I learned to edit quick.
Yes.
I found the music, I knew how I wanted it to be, and then we pushed content like that.
That's key.
And it was super fun.
It's key to have experiences like that. I think it's important. I want to go back to those 3 points that you made earlier.
Yeah.
And I want to talk a little bit about editing, because I think editing is something that's so overlooked.
Yeah.
It's either overrated or underrated, depending on who you ask. So where did you start with editing? Like what kind of vibe were you aiming for when you started photography?
Like when I started to now, it's completely different. Like
what's the difference? What changed?
The difference is when I started out, it was super cool to have like desaturated photos, like almost black and white. But you have some hint of color. Not the splash color, not that old Alexia stuff, but you have like hints of color, but not that much.
Yeah.
So when I was shooting, I got the... Yeah. Hi.
Did you want to be on the podcast or... And I will see you later. Ladies and gentlemen, my colleague, Mrs. Peepee. My work from home colleague.
This is the Corona home office.
That's funny. I sort of watched that happen in slow motion. Yeah. Like, no.
I was like, that's going to be a clip. But yeah, did you know in Photoshop, when you this is like pre-Photoshop actually, but when I started with using Photoshop, it was this guy, Roger. He was shooting a lot of skiing back in the like way back.
I don't remember. No.
And he introduced me to RAW. That's when I knew how to use Photoshop and Bridge. So when I started using Bridge and Photoshop, I got I did all my edits like with the highlights and everything, like everyone does. And then when in Photoshop, the only thing I did was a gradient map. You know, when you put gradient map, I took black and white and then I just pushed it down.
Ah, nice.
Like that's
nice
all I
quality.
did. That's all I did. And I did that on every photo, and I was like, that's a Hakon photo, because they saw I had desaturated it.
Did you find it hard to sort of translate that into different kinds of photography, or
yeah, because
did you just sort of copy paste?
I did that, and I put it into like the portraits and everything, and I saw that didn't work, because you need to like represent the clothing, or you need to represent the colors.
Yes.
For the different brands. So then there was the era where Instagram, or like pre-Instagram, I think it was Olav and the other photographers that did the S-curve with the bend. You know, when you get like the shadows are pushed up. So the shadows are kind of filmish.
Yeah.
And I tried that for a couple of years.
Kind of like a faded black.
Yeah.
Kind of look.
I didn't. I look at my photos now. I did that way too hard. I pushed that curve way too hard.
Yeah. I think we all did at some point.
Yeah, I think
that was a fad.
If you go way back on Instagram and you see the filters, not good. I'm aiming more for a natural look now, to be honest. Like looking at this, you probably wouldn't say so, but kind of.
Yeah, but it's interesting. The more you grow up and the more you sort of experience Photoshop and you experiment within those programs, the more you start to realize that things look better when you dial it back.
Yes.
And that it's not worth pushing too hard and trying new things. And sometimes it's not worth getting too creative. Sometimes it looks better when it's just natural, because we start to appreciate how much effort it actually takes to make it look natural.
I agree 100%.
That's something that you don't see much in young photographers.
No, they want to push it to the limit.
Yeah.
Like they want to see what's the new trend, what's cool in the color world. Now it's kind of like making a film photo, not like taking an analog photo, the style that analog has, and put it on like a digital photo, which I admit I did that in the start. Yeah, it doesn't really work. Like if you're a photographer, you can see, you can see the difference. Yes, and then you're just trying. Yes, just shoot film if you want to make it look like film. You're stepping on your own toes at that point. Yeah, because you're trying to sort of overlap mediums. Yeah, and it's pretty obvious when you really know what to look for. Just it's super smart to shoot film if you're starting out, because then you learn about light composition, of course, because you're limited to the frames you can shoot. Yeah, and of course it costs money, so you don't want to like burn rolls and film stocks, because people are so into like the editing part. Like people get stuck there. I did. Yeah. I really got stuck there, because every time I get a free time, I'm like on YouTube, how to edit this photo better, how to be like a fashion photographer. Yes. Yeah. Everyone's been there. Oh yeah, it's been hours on YouTube. But even when you're done and you're going on a shoot you were planning to have, you're still editing the way that you want. Yes. I'm not following any tutorial on how to edit them. No, you do it once when you're following the video and like, okay, cool, I understand that. And then when you get back with your own photos, you just sort of like, let me go back to what I know best. Yeah. And let me just sort of expand on that. And then you see that, oh, I always push the yellows down. Yeah. Because that's me. Exactly. And that's how it should be. And that's something young photographers need to sort of understand and start to lean in on. Yeah. And that's something that's hard. I mean, there's a lot of value in learning different ways of editing. There's a lot of value into going to like Flern, for example. Flern is like a really good super YouTube. Smart. And there's a lot of value in going and copying their style and just sort of seeing how there's like maybe a new gradient or a new kind of blur into something. Yeah, for sure. It's fun to see how it works, just to understand the mechanics of Photoshop. Yeah. But having that sort of translate long-term into your photography is so hard. Yeah, but you have to like try it out, as you said. Like go with Flern and see how they do this stuff. Because if you see how it affects your photo, then you can make it better. Yeah. Because then you know why that does what it does to your photo. And that's the difference. Because the thing about being in the industry for so long, you know why you are doing what you do. In the start, I didn't know why I was shooting like the way I did. I didn't know why I needed a 70-200 lens. Yep. Everyone got one. I need one.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
It's key. It has to be 2.8.
Yeah,
if it wasn't 2.8, you felt bad about yourself.
Yeah, it was like, okay, there's something wrong with my lens because it's not 2.8.
Yeah.
You don't really know what that 2.8 stands for.
Exactly.
Then you bump up the ISO anyways.
Yeah.
And you shoot at like f5. It doesn't make sense.
No.
And then you just blew like 10,000 Norwegian extra on a lens that you really don't, not going to use it for.
Yeah.
For me, I did shoot a lot of hockey as well when we were shooting the sports.
Yeah, you were very into hockey. Huh?
Yeah, really. For 3 years, I shot hockey. And then I needed the 2.8. So I knew that at that point I needed the 72 point or the 7200 with like, what's it called? It would pay me back.
Yes, it pay itself off.
Yeah. So that was not like an issue. And that's the only lens that lived on my camera back then.
Oh, yeah.
But like now, like then, I shot 7200 for probably 2 years, 50 and that one. And 17 to 40 just to, you shot like the environment and stuff and nature and stuff. But now I only shoot with like a 50 and 35.
Okay.
I only own 2 lenses.
Those are your go-to?
That's my only 2 lenses.
You only own 2 lenses?
Yeah.
What was it like selling off the lenses you thought you needed? What did that feel like? Were you partying with a child? This is like Sophie's Choice?
The 24 to 70 was like partying with a child because that one really made me a lot of money. That was a go-to lens. And honestly, if I shot more video, or if I shot more everyday stuff, I would still keep that one.
And what is it about primes?
They're so sharp, man. They're so good.
Yeah.
And like I shoot medium format now, so it's always 2.8 or higher. 2.8 on a medium format is sketchy. It's like 1.2.
Yeah, it's
in the depth of field. So shooting at 2.8, I rarely do it. I do it sometimes because I have to, and sometimes it's an effect. But I keep it around 4.
Okay,
4. But yeah, shooting 2 primes. That's the only thing I need, man, for portraits at least.
Do you feel like it pushes you in a good direction, like limiting yourself?
It's like I don't have the options. And don't having options is a good thing.
Just like back when you shot on film.
Yeah. And back when going back to not having a plan B.
Yes.
Because
that's a red thread through your life, isn't it? No plan B.
Like make it easy for yourself. Not if you go to a shoot and thinking about what focal length you're going to shoot, you're thinking about the wrong thing.
Yes. And on that, I'm going to have to reset the camera. We'll take a very quick break and we'll refill our water. You can find more of Hakon Jorgensen's material at Instagram.com/Hakon Jorgensen. He's got tons of awesome photos. He's uploading all the time. You can send him a DM and he'll get back at you. Wow, look at that photo. Look at this photo. Neat. Oh, wow. So we were talking a little bit about the storytelling behind the photos, about sort of disciplining yourself to not think about the equipment, but putting more focus on what the content of the photo is.
Yeah.
What's the first thing you think about when you get on a shoot?
The first thing I think about is the light on the location. It like if there's is it natural light? How can I use that to my advantage? Or do I have to bring in some extra lights? I usually just shoot with one light extra.
Okay.
Like almost all my studio stuff is like one light. I'm trying to get into like shooting with more, but that's basically just to get more power, not more directions.
Okay.
Because I like it kind of natural with one direction or...
I love that band too.
Yeah, me too. Harry Styles is so good.
But yeah, so to you, less is more.
Less is more.
Okay.
For me, actually,
it seems to be something that you're sort of leaning into more and more and more.
Yeah.
Because I remember in the beginning, there were always multiple lights that you brought with you.
Yeah.
You always had a few. When did that start to change?
When I didn't see the use for them. Like, I was putting one light there because, or like in the back because, that's what the pros did and they needed to light up the background or something. But then slowly you understand that you can light up the scene with like your camera and then you fill in with the flash, not the other way around. I started out like I was shooting so many bright rooms on like f/16, super dark just to get the flash in.
Yeah.
And the flash is not there like to make the scene, it's just to emphasize something or just help you. So if you're in a tricky situation with the model or you're shooting a car, whatever, in a weird space, you just bring in the lights to even out the shadows. That's how I approach it, at least. So even when you're shooting portraits, you don't want like circles under the eyes or stuff. You just fill in the small parts.
It's a good way to approach it, though.
Yeah.
Was there some sort of like trigger for that? That's like, was there a hard switch where one day you were like, you know what, I don't need to bring both the lights? Or was it just sort of gradual?
I think it just faded over to that. I started to see look at my work and like, it's not. I like to have control myself. That's one thing that that's also going through my life. Like, I buy stuff that I need and own because I don't like renting because it's someone else's and I don't want to break it. And that's one thing. But the other thing is like, I know I can handle my stuff, so I can try it out, or like stands or cameras, whatever. So I probably spend way too much money on like equipment than I really need to.
Yeah.
But that's a photography thing.
I think we all feel that way.
Yeah. That's not just me. But I like having control. That's the thing. Yeah. Like if I drive a car, I like it in the car. I like that I'm driving it.
Yes.
That's why I don't like flying because
there's something to that. I wonder if that's something that translates all the way across like creative industries.
I think so.
I wonder, because I always wondered that when it comes to people like gaffers. Yeah. People who light scenes for films and stuff like that. Do they feel the same way? Like, are they as possessive?
I really don't think so.
Your assistants, you use assistants?
Yeah, I use assistants, and they're like, they know that it's not like the Hakon show, but they know that when they're there, I need them. Yeah. So they know there's the only thing they're doing there is making the shot better. So I could do it. They know that I can do it myself. It's going to take way longer time. Then I don't think about the photo. Yeah. I think about everything around. So as soon as you get people helping you on sets, if you're shooting bigger things, or even if you're just shooting with Instagram model or whatever you want to do, I'm thinking about like the younger kids. Yeah. Shooting, just bring a friend or whatever that can help you. Yeah. Hold the lights, or just hold a jacket in front of the sun just to, small things like that. If you're in groups, you work together, that's a better transition for when you get older, because you are going to work with a lot of more people. Like, it's not just me anymore. It's me, it's my assistant or another one, maybe two. Then there's like the editor, it's the art direction, it's the client, it's,
Yeah, yeah.
So
it starts to get a little overwhelming sometimes.
On a couple of these sets, there's probably like, up towards like 15 to 27 people having opinions.
I had a shoot like that recently.
You did?
Oh, recently. I mean, before time. Before
all this, the corona outbreak.
Yeah, good times. I showed up and I was taking photos as is usual. I was taking stills behind the scenes almost of a film shoot. Yeah. There's plenty of shoots like that, right? And at the end of the film shoot, it was about like 15, 16, 17 people in there. And there was shooting one athlete. Yeah. We're shooting him on a green screen. And it was super easy. I had all my lights set up and I was just waiting my turn. And then we had 2 more minutes. 5. It was 5 more minutes exactly left with the athlete. Yeah. The filmer said, "Okay, Kyle, it's your turn." Okay, 5 minutes. Yeah. Here we go. Yeah. And I just like, okay, get in that spot, shoot this and this and this. And it was all just like autopilot. Yeah. Like good enough. And you have this like, this presentation anxiety. Yeah. Almost when you have that many people standing behind you, you're suddenly under so much pressure to like get the banging shot. Because they know your photos. Yeah. They've seen all these photos and they're like, wow, he's good. That's why we hired him. Yeah. But when they start to see the magic behind him, I'm always kind of like nervous that they don't quite understand my vision for the end game.
It's like, I know that people work differently on that, because when we're shooting with models or for brands, sometimes the models are not comfortable with a lot of big crews. Mm-hmm. So then I kind of tend to go alone with the model, like just me and the model. I bring like the light with, or the my tripod with my computer, because when you're shooting tether, you like want to bring it easily. Yes. And then it's just us. And then when I feel like we got something, I go back to the client and they'll look at it. And if there's something that need adjustment, we go back. But sometimes you need that, like just the one-on-one interaction. Yes. Because a lot of times people are just hanging over the computer, like move to the left, put up your hair. Yeah. But that's because they're looking at every single frame going in. So if you go over, you shoot your thing and go back, and they're like, these are so great.
What's the worst habit the clients have?
Hanging over the computer like
no
that.
names.
No names. No, everyone does it though. Like it's not like something you can tell them no.
Yeah,
because
it's their photos.
Yeah,
at the end of the day,
and it's fair. Yeah. It's like it's okay, but I found like ways to work around it. But like hanging over the computer and having the super like going in on opinions.
Yes.
When I'm starting to get like going, it's kind of like starting your car, but like only turning the ignition like halfway.
Yeah.
So until you get the shot, like, and then a full day of that, like 8 hours, your car is gonna get flooded. You know.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
Wow, I never thought of it like that.
So that's how it is with like the bigger shoots, at least.
I hate re-editing. I hate it. That is the worst thing when it comes to clients and they ask for a couple photos and you send them whatever. Maybe you're sending pre-selects. Yeah. Some clients love to have 200 photos that they can browse through to see what they want.
Yeah.
And then you send the edited photos and then you get one round of re-editing that's just like, okay, that's pretty obvious stuff. Maybe I can fix that.
Yeah.
And then they come back with stuff that like, why didn't you bring that up the first time?
Yeah.
It is the worst. That kills me.
Yeah, me too.
It kills me.
Me too. And there was 2 months ago, there was one client that was like that. It wasn't the client's fault. It was like they had this vision, and we like again when you shoot in tailored, you feel like everything is good. They love the photos, but then they started to go like zoom in, like 600%, like, and it's going on Instagram. No one's gonna zoom in on the photo.
That pixel's not even gonna be there.
No, and
you're
then
not gonna
like
see it.
Stray hair that's going out, you know. But it was all good. But you know, you're doing detail stuff that really shouldn't take your time. When you're doing like a photo like that and they want that amount of detail, it costs like $1,500 to send that to an editor.
Oh yeah.
And do that stuff.
We were talking about that. You don't edit so much anymore yourself, at least when it comes to commercial stuff.
I'm trying to send more away.
Okay. Like, why is that?
It's such a difference, man. Because when I'm on a shoot, like you said earlier, when you're on a shoot, you tend to care about everything. So when we start editing and we look at the photos, we see everything from start to finish. Mm-hmm. But when you take the photos, you know the composition is right, the lighting is good, everything is super cool. You send it away and they make it even better. Yeah. Because when other people edit your photos and they get them back, it's like getting new photos, like you've never seen them before.
It's like that feeling we were talking about.
Yeah.
You don't see the whole process.
Yes.
You're impressed no matter what.
Yeah. So I can get like a pretty bad photo sent away, and I'm still like impressed how they did that. Yeah. Made that so cool.
Has that ever backfired on you?
No, not yet. I haven't done like this so long, sending the photos away. No. Like mostly my portfolio is just me.
It's also expensive.
It's expensive. Yeah. But there's some, I would like to the younger people and people going into like the commercial world or fashion, you should consider it, because they do like take they elevate like your style, or they can see your style. Yeah. And they just make it better. Yeah. They Photoshop the skin better. They take away like the background with the sign or the car, you know.
Yeah. The stuff that takes us hours.
Yeah, and stuff that we are like,
yeah.
You know, I'm not going to put this in Photoshop.
Yeah, maybe it's not worth it.
Yeah. And then you instead of like doing, if you're shooting a model for Instagram or just a collab for that, say, mm-hmm. you tend, I did at least this one, I sent 70 photos or more to, like, if I was shooting an influencer or whatever. Yeah. I sent them like 50 to 70 photos, like, here you go. All these are edited in Lightroom, like, whoop, send away. But now it's been more like, this is the selection. Choose what's your favorites, and choose like 5.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. Like before they're edited?
Yeah.
Okay. So pre-select.
So they can see, like, because models and stuff, they see more of how they're turning and how the pants fit, you know? Yeah. I look at everything except for how, like, if they feel fat in the photo. Yeah. So if I send them everything, like pre-select, they look through the photos, then send to me, this is the 5 photos I really love. I'm going to edit the 5, maybe 7, like 2 of my favorites, if they're not in the 5. Mm-hmm. And then that's what I get. Okay. So you go through the models with the pre-selects? Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes. Or I just do like 5. But it makes sense, right? I mean, they would know better. Yeah. Wouldn't they? They know, and I know that every photo that I shot, or the ones I'm going to say to them,
Yeah.
Like, because I do a select first.
Yeah.
So I do like, if I had a shoot with like 400 photos, I'm going to send them 50 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think is good and the lighting is good.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they like the hand like this or that.
Yeah.
And they love it like it that.
Do you ever have strong opposing opinions? You'd rather have the hand like this or this?
Sometimes I tell them like, you think that's better? Like really?
So passive.
Yeah.
You think that's better?
Yeah. Yeah, but like really? Like look at the two. Who do you think is better? And then I look at the composition and everything. But sometimes they're like, you're saying something there.
Yeah.
And then like you go about, edit it, send it away, and then they're like, oh,
yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah. Then you can shock them.
Yeah.
Because you saw the vision right from the beginning.
I know how it's gonna end.
Yeah.
So I just need them to approve the post or approve the photo.
How often do you do test shoots like that with Instagram models or whoever?
I try to do at least 2 a month, 3 a month.
Okay.
Something like that.
How important is it to you?
It's super important.
Yeah.
Because it elevates how you work. Because a lot of the stuff that's on my website is just free shoots or just test shoots or meeting up with models that I've DM'd or the agencies have sent me, hey, can you shoot with this girl? We need more photos.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's so great to just do like that because you learn so much. You interact with people. That's one thing that you learn a lot, how to treat different people. And sometimes I don't have like the cultural, I'm not in like this culture or that cultural. And the agencies do. So they have like a dark skin model that I would never like talk to or in a setting, in the skiing industry at least, you know.
Yeah.
And
not with personal opinion.
No.
Just because the opportunity.
Yeah, the opportunity. That's the thing. No, I haven't met that person or whatever. But it's so fun to shoot with like different cultural people or different people you never would even meet.
New challenges.
Yeah. So go on Instagram and like models or people you like wouldn't shoot. Mm-hmm. Try to like shoot with them. Yeah. Because it's really cool. You learn a lot.
And when did opportunities like that start opening up for you? Because I feel like a lot of young photographers don't sort of understand the method when it comes to arranging test shoots like that.
I see a lot of young photographers or young people in general are concerned about their following. You know, if you go on Instagram and you want to shoot some influencer and stuff, you want to like, oh, I don't want to shoot anyone below like 10K. Yeah. Don't care. You don't have to care about that. One of the biggest, like, I would say like a few of the biggest models in Norway are everyone like below 50K followers.
Okay. Because they're focused on their modeling.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not focused on
They're models. They're not Instagram influencers.
It's the same with photographers.
Yeah.
I've noticed like so many photographers in Norway that are under like 50,000 who are just like the best.
Of course.
Super impressed because they're focused on their photography.
And even like the biggest one, they don't have like, you can go on Instagram, you can see a photographer, Cali based, only shoots film, like that kind of guy. Yeah. With like 400,000 to 700,000 followers. Yeah. Super cool dude, like, shooting models every day. But then you have like Steve McCurry and stuff, like the big guys from probably like 30 years ago. Yeah. They're like 15,000 followers, you know.
Do you have a favorite photographer to follow on Instagram?
Right now.
Second after me.
After you, it's Alessio Albi.
Alessio Albi.
An Italian photographer.
Okay, let's bring it up. I want to see this. I have never... How do you spell his name?
Alessio Albi.
Albi. Photographer. Yes. And I assume his Instagram is going to be one of the first things that... Never mind.
I don't think so.
Flickr, Instagram. There we go. We found it. Flickr comes before Instagram. What kind of world are we living in?
This is so cool. The photo shoots he's doing now in quarantine.
Like this one?
These are FaceTimes.
He's shooting this on FaceTime?
Yeah.
So he's just doing like screen captures? Or?
Yes.
And he's just telling the model where to put the camera?
Yep. Their laptop or their phone.
That's phenomenal.
It's insane. I was talking with the model yesterday about doing something like this.
That's genius. I'm going to get demonetized now. Perfect. But that's genius.
Yeah. And then you scroll more down here, it's more of his portraits.
Ah, so creative with lights and everything.
It's so good.
Crazy.
It's a lot of natural light as well.
Yeah.
And he edits his photos. He does everything.
I love this editing. So clean. 2 colors. I like the composition of blue versus orange.
Yeah. like the orange and teal, just not that.
Not Instagram influencer level, but
not the preset
just
orange
enough.
and teal.
Just enough stuff like this.
Yeah,
I think that's phenomenal.
He's definitely the one guy that I check out every single day if he has something new.
Okay.
Because
so he's the man I need to start following.
Yes.
You know what? I can fix that. Actually,
just click it.
There we go.
You see, he's now at 745.
745,000 followers.
When
should have more.
I started following him like 150 or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's blowing up in lately.
Jesus. Have you ever seen? Do you know Tony Kelly?
Tony Kelly?
Yeah, Tony Kelly World. Isn't that his name? Oops. This dude is one of my favorites as of recent.
Oh.
He does, his storytelling is so crazy. Like this kind of commercial shoot.
This is kind of like La Chapelle colors.
Yeah, yeah. Bright, super saturated. Yeah. But I think his storytelling is so badass.
These are dope.
It's so rad. And he sees stuff like this, like a Ferrari catching on fire. And he's like, how do I replicate this in my shoot? He's done like, he's crashed Lamborghinis into the light poles and stuff just for the shoot. He's crazy. Crazy, just massive.
These are super cool though. And the weird thing here is, holy shit.
So we're a little fat kid acting like Donald Trump. So rad. I'm super into that style so much.
If you see all of his photos here, like direct light.
Yes.
This is the opposite of what I shoot. But I love
heavy
this.
contrasts. Yeah.
But I love this. That's the thing. Even though I love this, and I want to see this in my feed every single day, it's not something I would shoot.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
How do you let it not sort of take over your style?
Because when you try to make someone else's style your own, you try it for a week and you see it doesn't gonna work. Because when you try to do someone else's style, if I'm gonna take your style and try to replicate it, it's not gonna be my style for first and foremost. It's gonna always be Kyle's style.
Yeah.
But then again, if I try to make it my own, it's not gonna feel authentic for me. So I know if I want to try something like that, I want to shoot like Dave LaChapelle or whatever, it's not going to be exactly the same.
No.
Because it doesn't work like that. Your head doesn't work like that.
No.
So when you start lighting and I'm like, oh, I'm going to do super hard light like he does with the colors and everything. But when you go to the editing or when you're done with the shoot, you're going to a bit down with the yellows, a bit down with the greens, and you're back at what you always shoot.
Yeah. I think one of the worst things about it is when you're taking inspiration from a photographer like that and you're like, okay, how do I incorporate this kind of style into my shooting?
Yeah.
You know he's already done it better.
Yeah.
Or she. He
or she.
You know they have already done it better. So in the back of your mind, you're like, why is mine not as good at that?
Yeah.
And there's something to that. It just sort of makes you insecure and feel kind of shitty about the photos you're taking.
That's true. If there's one photographer in Norway, it's going to be Ida Bjørvik.
She's amazing.
She's amazing.
She's like, very, very talented.
Her portraits and how she shoots, it's so great. Like, I love this.
Yeah.
Everything she puts out on Instagram, I love it.
She's very modest when it comes to colors and when it comes to light. Everything looks natural. Very talented woman.
And I know that she uses WeTouch.
Okay.
For editing, yeah.
Aha. She's very young, right?
I don't really know.
I don't know why I thought that. I was always kind of like nervous that the younger photographers are coming up and they're super strong.
I think she's been in the game for a long time, actually.
Okay, I don't know why.
She
Maybe it's just my insecurity.
And she's I think she's the only Canon photographer in Norway now.
Yeah, there are many.
I think she's the only one.
That's fantastic. That's good for me.
Yeah.
Sony guy, born and raised.
Yeah, like keep her there, and I can try to get something Fuji.
So you're shooting on Fuji now?
Yeah.
100%.
100% Fuji.
100%. What changed?
Medium format.
Yeah.
That's what changed. It works so better with my workflow.
Why is that?
The file size is like one thing. Sony as well, they push it like 50 megapixel now, but getting the 50 megapixel is one thing. I don't really need more than that. But, there's like Hasselblad shooters with 100, Phase 1 with 140.
Yeah.
But they're shooting like detailed stuff. In portraits, you really don't need more than 50, I would say at least. But it's the size of the sensor that's really drawing me to Fuji. Like the 4x5 sensor, I think it's like kind of 4x5. Or it is 4x5.
I don't know.
I think it's 4x5.
When it comes to technical stuff, I'm the wrong person to ask.
But I love that format. You can see in a lot of my photos as well. It's kind of shrunk down or like more compressed.
Yeah.
So the look of the sensor is more compressed.
Yeah.
Same with the glass that Fuji makes is incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Like Mamiya, incredible.
Really?
I think so.
Rad.
So the combo of shooting a digital medium format with the Fuji lenses, I can shoot it every day.
Yeah.
I do it every day, but
do you find any limits? Does it limit your photography at all?
Some high speed stuff.
Yeah.
Like it shoots only 3 frames a second, and the autofocus is kind of it's there.
Yeah, I mean it's a big sensor.
Yeah. It helps, but it's not like phase 1 slow. It's not that slow, but it's slow. Like compared to shooting on the A7. So I still keep my A7 for when if I'm shooting a festival or if I'm shooting something more high speedy stuff. But I think like the Fuji is a middle ground from analog to digital.
If you're coming up as a young photographer, this is a question that I get way too often. And it's a question I'm guessing you get way too often. What should be your first full frame setup? What kind of lenses should you be aiming for? What's kind of a reasonable place to start? How many lenses when you decide it's maybe going to be something that's a little bit more than just a passion, a little bit more than just a hobby. It's something maybe you want to work in later on.
You're thinking like
where should you put your money?
Like
full frame or smaller sensor, APS-C, micro, whatever.
Okay, so always when people ask me this, I give them options to what are you passionate about shooting right now?
Yeah, okay.
So if you're shooting your family or portraits or a dog, whatever, there's one kit that's really good for you.
We're shooting family portraits of the dog.
Yeah. So like portraits and everyday still life then.
It's something that maybe they're leaning more towards lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyday still life kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But they kind of want to keep their options open because they're still exploring.
In the full frame range, I would say like go all the way Sony.
Yes, that's the right answer.
Yeah, but with the A7 III, that's a really good camera.
Yes,
it's a really good camera, and you get like a kit lens, I think, when you buy some of the package. Sometimes you just get the camera.
Yeah, it depends.
I would go straight to like a 50 or 35.
50 or 35.
Yeah, it depends kind of how you shoot. If you want to get like more in the frame, go 35 because you can go close, keep everything in the background like blurry and stuff.
Yeah.
And some people really like that look, and I like that look when I can go close to someone and still have some information in the background. But I shoot probably 80% on my 50.
Why do you think that someone who's just starting in photography should commit to a prime before they get a zoom lens?
Because then you learn to use your legs. Yeah. Go back and forth with your legs.
No B plan.
Zoom with your legs. Zoom with your legs. No plan B.
Zoom with your legs. I love that.
Yeah, but
I love that.
Like if you have a 50 and you're shooting a portrait, you can go 5 steps in front of you to shoot like a close, 2 step back to get like a medium, 3 step back, and then you have a full length of the portrait. Yeah. And you didn't distort anything.
There's something to that.
Because if you're standing there and at the one spot with the 24 to 70, you're going 24, kick back into 70.
Yep.
Then yes, you have the close, you have the wide, you have the medium, but she's going from like being stretched like this to this to this.
And you don't notice sometimes.
Nope, you don't.
You don't notice.
Until you get to your computer and you put on like the Lightroom fix.
Yeah, exactly. You probably enable profile correction. Yeah, I'm addicted to that button.
Yeah, because you shoot a lot of zooms.
I shoot a lot with a 16 to 35.
Yeah.
But that's the only zoom that I really use.
Okay.
My setup, if I'm going hiking or shooting outdoor with a client and I know that I need a large range, I will take the 16 to 35.
Yeah.
I will take a 50, an 85, and usually that's like my 3 lens setup.
Yeah.
But if I'm shooting action, I'll take the 70 to 200.
Of course.
The lens.
It's a beast.
And maybe I'll take like a 24 1.4 if I'm shooting some night stuff or some low light. But my 3 lens setup is the 16 to 35 2.8, the 50 1.4, and the 85 1.4.
Okay.
Those they do everything.
I would just say like to the younger audience as well, like keep your bags, like your camera bags light.
Yeah, agreed.
Don't bring too much gear.
Agreed.
Like if you have like 4 lenses and you're doing a shoot like you're doing sometimes when you go like on hikes and stuff, don't bring everything.
You're gonna overwhelm yourself.
Yeah, you're gonna use 2 of them.
Yes, exactly.
And that's kind of why I always limit myself as well, because yes, I can really use a 110 from Fuji, and I can really use sometimes like a 25 or whatever. But they cost like 30,000 a piece. That's one thing.
Yeah.
And even if I don't care about the price, it's gonna stay in my bag for 3 shoots on the course of the year, and then I can rent it for like 500 kroners a day.
Yeah.
So there I saved like 28,000.
Yeah, and if you're shooting commercially, then you can just rent the stuff on the budget anyway.
If there's like specific shoots.
Yes.
But if you have like a 50-35, in my case, for what I do, I'm set for most of what I do.
Yeah.
Because always you're going to get like a job description. If I'm going on a hike and shooting skiing with you and Emil, I'm going to bring the Fuji maybe because it's so light, it doesn't care.
Yeah, I mean, you'd get the most unique photos out there.
Yeah.
For sure.
As well, I would also bring like a 7200 or something with my A7R.
Yeah.
Because it shoots hella fast.
Yeah. A do-it-all, something that can...
And really you can film, you can do whatever with it.
Yes.
And the Fuji is like, the filming is not there.
Okay.
It's like more of a stills camera.
Yeah.
So there's different tools for different jobs.
Yes. There is one big question that I was very curious about asking you, because this is something that I think changes a lot when it goes to person. I think there's a lot of aspects that people have taken away that can kind of answer this. But what would you tell yourself when you first started taking photos with all you know now? If you could go back in time, what advice would you give yourself?
Care more about the light.
Care more about the light.
Like look at light differently. Like because
just do it.
Yeah. But like if it was like a one note that was like leave myself, if I didn't talk to myself, but I'll leave one on like my desktop or whatever.
Yeah.
Like research more.
Yeah, like you have this. You've planned this. Leave one on your desktop. This is like movie level.
Yeah. Like
you can't tamper with the past.
Yeah, of course. But then again, if you go back in the past and you like give yourself some advice, it would be like research more about the light.
Yeah.
Like how it works.
Yeah.
Because as I told you later on in the podcast, that I was just shooting with strobes. I was just shooting with the sun in the back because kind of worked. You never know why you're doing it. But if you know why you're shooting like that, or why, that's kind of basically for everything. If you know why to something, it's easier to get the result you want.
Yeah.
Because then you know what to change.
Do you have some sort of advice as to practically how you can go about forcing yourself to learn it, how to do this?
I do it like kind of every day when I just go around. If you're on the subway or even just going for a walk, whatever, and you see some light hitting in from the side on the subway. I did that a lot when I was working in Bogstadveien, because I had to take the subway from Bryn all the way. And in the morning light, you see how like low it is and how it shines through. And then I saw it on the face of like a gentleman that was sitting there going to work. And then I kind of saw like how the side light went and how it touches like his nose and then the Rembrandt lighting. Then you're like, oh, that's cool. And then you like put that into a photo or into some other idea. And you do that with like everything you see. So if you see something flat, like if you're the typical Instagram photo when you're pointing yourself towards the window and you see how flat you get.
Yeah.
No wrinkles, no nothing.
Yeah.
That's going to work out if you're shooting a beauty portrait. So instead of just thinking about, oh, I'm shooting myself like that, it works when you're shooting a beauty portrait. So how you perceive light is just go around and think about it a lot.
Yeah.
That's
just
my tips.
Look at things, take mental notes.
Yeah.
And try to recreate it, I guess,
yeah,
when the time comes. And
because if you keep looking at it, it's going to stay in there. Like how it goes through 3 leaves. And yeah.
That's interesting advice, because basically what you're telling younger people to do is to copy the light that already exists out there.
Put your phone down.
Yeah.
But actually, I've been doing it the last 2 years. If I'm going on a walk, whatever, I'm putting the phone way more down and to look at the environment and see how I can implement that in a photo or into something more.
It's good advice. And it's something you don't really think about. You get caught up in so many technical techniques and stuff like that when you're younger that it's and you forget to just look around.
It's kind of popular to say like put your phone down, but I'm not saying you should always like be that guy that put your phone down and you have to look at the world, because the phone is there to stay. Like people are gonna scroll photos and like and Pinterest, whatever. Yeah. You're gonna do that all day anyway, and it's fine. It's where the world is going. Yeah. But just take a minute and see the environment around you to see if there's something you have missed.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
It's very good advice. And on that, I think we're going to call this an episode. It's pretty good.
Nice.
Hakon, thank you very much for being here. I'm going to give you a clap. You can't hear it, but people are clapping right now.
Oh, nice. Cool. Oh, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. If you haven't seen it yet, and if it's not out yet, I assume it will be, we are doing a stream together where we are going to edit some of each other's photos, put them up against each other, and see what it looks like when two people who are good at completely different types of photography try to cross paths.
Yeah. It should be fun. You should watch that.
Should be fun. I'm excited. So let's get started with that. Let's call this one wrap, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cool.